Good evening from the State of Kuwait. Welcome to the 7 o'clock news for Friday, the 31st of October 2014. I am Dalia Badran with the headlines for tonight. The National Assembly Speaker condemns the unjustly Israeli act of closing the Holy Aqsa Mosque for worshippers. Israel reopens access to Al-Aqsa Mosque for Palestinians as security forces are on alert after Fatah and Hamas called for a day of rage. The Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs returns home following his visit to Azerbaijan. 10 Iraqi Kurd Peshmerga fighters enter the besieged Syrian town of Kobane to help Syrian Kurds fight the IS militants. Hello and welcome. The National Assembly Speaker and Chairman of the Arab Interparliamentary Union, the AIPU, Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanem, condemned the unjustly Israeli act of closing the Holy Aqsa Mosque for worshippers. In a press release, Al-Ghanem said the international community, especially the UN and the major countries sponsoring Middle East peace process, should stop such Israeli acts from reoccurring. He added that preventing Muslims from entering the holy shrine is a heinous violation to Jerusalem's holy status, stressing that Israel's act was a clear indication that the international community was turning a blind eye to this situation. A senior foreign ministry source said the State of Kuwait welcomed Sweden's decision to recognize Palestine as an independent state. The source added in a statement that the decision came in line with legitimate international laws and the Arab Peace Initiative and will increase the opportunity for just and comprehensive peace in the region that supports the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people. The source also called on the nations whom have not yet come to recognize Palestinian statehood to do so as soon as possible to aid peace, security and stability in the region. Meanwhile, a senior foreign ministry source said Kuwait strongly condemned Israel's closing of Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem to Muslim worshippers. He said these actions are a violation of Muslim holy shrines and represent a dangerous escalation that will lead to further anxiety and an undermining of the peace process in the region. The source urged the international community, the Security Council in particular, to bear responsibility in putting pressure on Israel to stop such actions and lift the siege on Al-Aqsa Mosque, reopening it to Muslim worshippers and to ensure Israel's abidance by legitimate international laws and comprehensive peace. Amid heavy security, access to Jerusalem's most sensitive holy site was reopened for Muslim prayers on Friday, a day after Palestinians considered its temporary closure by Israel as a declaration of war. Early prayers at Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site in Islam, passed without incident, and only limited clashes between young Palestinian stone throwers and Israeli police were subsequently reported in East Jerusalem. However, Israeli security forces remained on high alert, bracing for afternoon demonstrations in the city and in the West Bank after both Fatah and Hamas called for Friday to be a day of rage. Fatima Abdul Karim has the story from Ramallah.
Thousands of Palestinians marched towards Al-Aqsa Mosque today. The crowds responded to a national call to protest the Israeli decision to shut down the holy site. Israeli authorities took a spontaneous decision on Wednesday night to shut down the Holy Aqsa Mosque complex completely, following the assassination attempt of prominent Rabbi Yehuda Glick. Nevertheless, Israeli authorities opened only partially the mosque for worshippers above 50 years of age.
In order to tell the world that this is a dangerous deterioration, closing the Al-Aqsa Mosque and preventing Muslims from getting in is a declaration of war in all Muslims all over the world. We are here to ask to open the gates of Al-Aqsa Mosque.
The tensed-up scene also erupted into clashes between Palestinians and Israeli forces, who were ordered by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to heighten the security alert and deploy additional forces to face Palestinians, according to Israeli media sources. Palestinians denounced the Israeli practices which violate the right of Muslims to perform their religious teachings and pave the way for further violations of Al-Aqsa Mosque itself.
Our message to the Israeli occupation is that this breach of our sacred places is a breach of the rights of all Muslims and is a violation of our right to worship and to access our worship places granted by all laws.
Clashes spread from Jerusalem to Ramallah and Hebron too, sending an important message to both the Palestinian leadership and to the world that the diplomatic action is not the only solution seen by Palestinians. Fatma Abdel Karim, Kuwait TV.
Thank you, Fatma. The Minister of Information, Minister of State for Youth Affairs in Kuwait, Sheikh Salman Sabah al-Salman al-Hamoud al-Sabah, arrived in Kuwait today following his visit to Azerbaijan, where he met with His Excellency the Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev to discuss bilateral relations and means of enhancing them in various fields. The outspoken new UN envoy to Syria said that he is pursuing a plan that involves freezing the conflict in certain areas, possibly starting with Aleppo, to allow for humanitarian aid. In his first briefing to the UN Security Council, Stefan de Mistura said the horrific trigger of the Islamic State militant group's recent onslaught in the north and east offers an opportunity for a new approach. The remarks came as the city of Kobani appeared to be relatively calm today as the battle continued for control of the strategic Syrian border town. Meanwhile, Syrian opposition activists said that the 10 Iraqi Kurd Peshmerga fighters have entered the besieged town of Kobane, while dozens more are expected to join them in helping Syrian Kurds defend the strategic town against the IS militants. The arrival of the first Peshmerga comes a day after a group of Syrian Arab rebels entered the town also to fight against the IS, aided by US-led coalition airstrikes. In Iraq, the Islamic State group is conducting a purge, killing dozens of former policemen and soldiers living in areas under its control in a campaign apparently aimed at preventing any uprising against its extremist rule. Former officers have been gunned down in their homes, rounded up and shot in groups or killed in public squares as an example to others in recent weeks, particularly in the northern city of Mosul, the largest city in a territory bridging Iraq and neighboring Syria that the militant group controls. Meanwhile, the U.S. military's top officer, General Martin Dempsey, called for the deployment of American to Iraq's Anbar province to counter the Islamic State, the first time the Pentagon has publicly endorsed sending advisors to the restive western province. The U.S. has sent about 600 to Baghdad and Erbil in the north to assist the Iraqi and Kurdish forces and coordinate U.S.-led airstrikes against the Islamic State. The Norwegian government also said that it would send about 120 troops to Iraq to help train its armed forces, in the fight against the IS extremists. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi joined the Afghan government today in urging the Taliban to take part in the process of political reconciliation. Wang Yi made the appeal at a news conference after the fourth Foreign Ministerial Conference of the Istanbul Process on Afghanistan in Beijing. Up to 64 cooperative projects were adopted at the conference aimed at accelerating the political reconciliation process, regional cooperation in promoting Afghanistan and regional countries' lasting security and prosperity. For his part, Afghan Foreign Minister said that his country's newly established national unity government hoped for continued cooperation with regional countries, particularly with China, on the fight against extremism and corruption. Unprecedented talks among Myanmar's political rivals and powerful army leaders have led to commitments to discuss political reforms and peace talks in the still fractured country. Myanmar's president and the country's military chief and opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi were the key figures at the first of its kind meeting at a time when the political reform process appears to have stalled. Presidential spokesman said the military brass and political rivals at the meeting agreed to discuss the issue of amending the constitution in parliament according to the law. However, he did not specify which articles of the Constitution would be up for debate. The hastily arranged meeting occurred just hours after U.S. President Barack Obama made separate telephone calls to Myanmar President and opposition leader Suu Kyi, stressing the need for an inclusive and credible process for next year's elections. Hundreds of desperate Sri Lankan villagers dug with bare hands through the broken red earth of a deadly landslide, defying police orders after a top disaster official said there was no chance of finding more survivors at the high elevation tea plantation. There were conflicting reports of how many people were missing in the slide, which struck Wednesday morning in the island nation's central hills after heavy monsoon rains. Disaster Management Minister said the number of the dead at the Koslanda tea plantation would be fewer than 100, but Sri Lanka's Disaster Management Center reported 190 people missing. The 12th National Conference, titled From Kuwait We Begin and to Kuwait We End Up, started last night and will run for 2 days at the Baptain Library. The conference, which is organized by a number of civil society institutions, will honor a number of the founding fathers and mothers for their various contributions to Kuwait and its people along the history of the country. Based on the Kuwait culture and heritage, the conference continues to aim on capitalizing on national unity of all members of the society. Here's more on the event in this report by Salim Al-Kandari.
Under the sponsorship of the Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs, Sheikh Salman Sabah Al-Hmoud Al-Sabah, the 12th edition of the National Conference took place for 2 days, honoring some of the founding fathers and mothers of Kuwait.
It's an event about Kuwait, about being, actually about belonging to Kuwait. What is Kuwait? What we have to do for Kuwait? And we are doing it in an indirect way. We are having to reward those who did the best for Kuwait, who has an achievement for Kuwait, and we are rewarding them by telling their name and their achievements to the public. Actually, it depends. Sometimes we do it every 6 months, and sometimes we do it every 1 year. So it depends about the people, because the people who achieve are the most important things that we are talking about. So if we have more people, those who have achievements, we will do it.
It's about the people who did a lot of things for Kuwait, the great people like our prince here, Mut'ab Athman al-Said, all right? And it's about them. We're going to talk about the good things that they did for Kuwait. We are being proud, okay, to talk about the history, about the good things, about the people who did good things for Kuwait here. That's why we want to talk about that, to feel proud. We want to tell the people what they did and to let them know about the history.
The conference included various activities and presentations that aim to promote loyalty and fulfill the values of Kuwait and publishes the meanings of moderation and consolidate the established national values and support youth projects and contribute to achieving the vision and objectives of the state in promoting unity. Kuwait's 12th National Conference was held for those 2 days in honor of among the founding fathers and the founding mothers of Kuwait who put their hands together in unification and in honor and appreciation of Kuwait. From Al Babtain Library, this is Salim Kendiri reporting for the English News.
Thank you, Salim. The 8th edition of the Elite Real Estate Exhibition kicked off in Kuwait with the participation of several local, regional and international companies presenting projects worth billions of US dollars. Growing competition in real estate exhibitions indicates sturdiness of the market and an upward trend to purchase properties overseas. Sarah Glubb was at Jumeirah Masila Hotel with this report.
Under the patronage of the Minister of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Abdul Muhsin Al Mudaj, the Al Nukhba, or Elite Real Estate Exhibition, entitled Finance and Investment, continued to attract huge crowds throughout the 4 days.
There are 42 local, regional and international companies participating with us from all over the world. The projects offered here range from small to vast projects to suit all types of individuals. And the prices start from 6,000 to 7,000 Kuwaiti dinars and up. At Scan Global, we are committed to our advertising and marketing campaign, so the turnout was extremely successful, particularly during the first 2 days. We also have more exhibitions in the near future, and in January we will organize our first Kuwaiti conference outside the country, including Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Qatar, in addition to 4 or 5 conferences that we will host in Kuwait throughout 2015.
Organized by Scan Global Exhibitions, this year the event attracted over 40 companies from all over the world that presented a variety of projects worth more than 20 billion US dollars.
We have been participating with the Elite Real Estate Exhibition for the past 3 years, and we would like to extend our gratitude to Sheikha Fatma Sabah and Mr. Badr at the booth for organizing these unique exhibitions that support our companies and our products. Currently, real estate has become unique all over the world. We own a property in the Republic of Georgia that occupies an area of 177,000 square meters from among the most beautiful investment opportunities in one of the most beautiful countries in the world. The property includes investments in units based on yearly contracts with an annual revenue ranging from 7 to 25%.
Every time I heard the name, I always with them, and I thanks Fatma, Sheikha Fatma Sabah, and Badr al-Dabbous, and Mahmoud Afifi, because really, what I see, they are doing a nice job about the newspaper and about the media. We work in London, properties, but not greenbelt, all of them under development.
Such exhibitions are particularly important for the state of Kuwait, especially since investing in real estate has gained back popularity after the effects of the global economic crisis had faded and due to the emergent demand by Kuwaiti investors. Now, in its 8th edition, the Elite Real Estate Exhibition is attracting huge crowds, as such exhibitions focus on promoting overseas elite real estate in light of the short investment opportunities in the local market. From the Jumeirah Masila Hotel, this is Sarah Glubb reporting for English News.
Thank you, Sarah. The French Institute, in collaboration with the French Embassy, hosted a musical night at the American Cultural Center with well-known visiting French guitarist Thibaut Cauvin. After playing a variety of musical pieces from classical to modern and international, Cauvin was later accompanied by Kuwaiti oud player Ibrahim Tami. The guitarist has an impressive musical CV where he has already given over 1,000 concerts in 120 countries, receiving rare reviews by the critics. More on this with our reporter Khonwa Jabouri.
Thibaut Couvin is one of the most talented, charismatic and sought-after guitarists in the world today. Traveling the globe and invited by the most prestigious festivals and concert halls in the world, Thibaut possesses remarkable creativity. His ability to bring sheer joy to the audiences and take them from one place to the other and from one era to the other demonstrates and proves that he is not only extremely talented, but that he possesses great artistry.
I started to play guitar when I was very young with my father, so I grew up into a very strong music atmosphere. Then I studied in different conservatories in France, and when I was a teenager I did a lot of guitar competitions, so like sports, and I had the chance to win several prizes. And after those little success, my concert life started when I was 20 years old, and since then I'm living on tour, a non-stop tour, endless tours that started 10 years ago, that has taken me in more than 120 countries, in many cities. And I'm very happy to be here for the first time. And yeah, so in my music we can hear a little bit of classical music, my education, classical guitar, but also music from my family, which is more modern music, jazz, modern jazz. And also we can hear a little bit of my life of traveler, of a little bit of memories of the different countries I have visited those last years. So yeah, it's a mix of all that.
I'm happy very much. Actually, the artist, he's really talented. It was very good. Especially the one that his father composed, it was crazy. I like this type of art. It was really fantastic.
Thibaut has played in festivals around the world, including New York Carnegie Hall, the Shanghai Opera, and the Hong Kong Opera, to name just a few.
Actually, it was a little eclectic, and what I really liked the most was the piece done by his father, and it touched me a bit because my father passed away, and I know the fact that me and him share the same art. I also like the piece about Istanbul because my great-grandma is from Turkey, so I thought all of it was inspirational. And I recently went to Stomp, and he used the guitar in more than one way, and I think he kind of like collaborated it into one instrument, drum, guitar, and a little bit of flute. So I like that. I really thought it was intelligent.
By listening to the composer, it moved me not from the place that I am here. It moved me to a fifth season, spring, autumn, winter, and summer, and a new season. A new season which combined France and Kuwait.
After having recorded 5 CDs with various labels and having been subject of the documentary film Thibaut Couvin Across China by N.P. Morin, Thibaut signed on with giant music industry Sony Music in 2013. Renowned French guitarist Thibaut Couvin successfully transported the audiences from one era to another with his fusion of classical and modern melodies from Americana Cultural Center. I'm Khonwa Jabouri reporting to you for the English News.
Renwa, and thank you, Thibaut. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Before we end, here is a quick reminder of today's headlines. The National Assembly Speaker condemns the unjustly Israeli act of closing the Holy Aqsa Mosque for worshippers. Israel reopens access to Al-Aqsa Mosque for Palestinians. The security forces are on alert after Fatah and Hamas called for a day of revenge. The Minister of Information, Minister of State for Youth Affairs returns home following his visit to Azerbaijan. 10 Iraqi Kurd Peshmerga fighters enter the besieged Syrian town of Kobane to help Syrian Kurds fight the IS militants.